Evocation. What the heck does that mean? Well, if you're familiar with the spell Fireball, that might clear it up a bit. Effectively, Evocation is the school of magic that conjures energy and unleashes it in some sort of physical effect, generally dealing damage. Spells in this school generally range from things like Fireball to creating light out of raw magical energy, showcasing the wide variety of this school. And since Evocation is such a vast school of magic, there are plenty of spells that go completely ignored in this school. So, quick pause here real quick. When I was writing the script and going through all the spells, I kind of realized, holy shit, like all of these spells are pretty good. And I know I say I struggled in all of these 5 underused spell videos, but my god, when I say I struggled, I like honestly struggled. I was scraping the bottom of the barrel, but god dang if I didn't find you guys 5 spells for today. And man, am I tired from all of that hard work. It sure would be nice if you subscribed to thank me for that hard work I just did. But you know what? I should let you get back to the video. I mean, we're still in the intro and I'm literally breaking every single rule of YouTube right now. You know, get through the intro quick, short and sweet videos. Don't be a gigantic idiot. I mean, okay, that's enough blabbing. Let's see what spells I pulled out of my ass for today. Oh god, here we go. The first spell on this list is the cantrip Shocking Grasp. You make a melee spell attack and on a hit deal 1d8 lightning damage. Any creature hit with this spell attack cannot take reactions until the end of their next turn. Now, like I mentioned, evocation spells cover a wide range of uses, which is the main reason I chose this cantrip. Since players only get a limited amount of cantrips, it's easy to overlook this for things like Eldritch Blast, Light, or Word of Radiance, whatever. The reason I think this spell is underrated is because while it doesn't deal as much damage as Eldritch Blast and it's a more dangerous choice being in melee range, it removes reactions from the equation. So if you're a caster in melee range for some unlucky reason, you can cast this spell and as long as you hit, you can then run away without provoking attacks of opportunity from the creature that you hit. I honestly don't think this spell is about the damage, right? It's about the versatility of removing reactions from the creature. And while reactions are generally used for things like attacks of opportunity, it can also account for things like counterspell or shield. And while this is not really likely to occur, it's still worth considering when you're choosing your cantrip, especially if you're going some sort of melee hybrid caster build. But since it's a damaging cantrip, it also increases damage as you level up, which makes this spell that much more helpful once you're higher on in the levels. So while it doesn't deal much damage, it still has a lot more versatility and it does scale pretty nicely with level. Moving on to the second spell for today, we have the first level spell, Earth Tremor. So this is one of those spells that, at first glance, sounds pretty terrible, and it's equally terribly worded. You effectively cause a tremor around you within 10 feet radius, and all creatures around you must make a dex save or fall prone and take 1d6 damage. Now, comparatively to other first level spells, the damage, it's atrocious. Especially considering if they succeed on a dex save, they just straight up don't take damage and don't fall prone, making it seem completely useless. However, this spell isn't really about dealing damage, it's about disrupting enemies. Aside from the prone effect, the 10 feet area around you is difficult terrain. Difficult terrain, to clarify, effectively doubles the amount of movement a creature requires to move through that area. And if they did fail their save and fall prone, then they'd need to spend half of their movement to stand up, and then there'd be no way for them to actually get to you if you ran out of the tremor area. Another bonus to this is if your enemies are at least around your general vicinity, 10, 20, 30 feet around you, they can then move to strike the enemies and literally hit them while they're down. If a creature is prone, all of the attacks that they make have disadvantage, while any melee attacks against them have advantage. So you're thereby hindering your enemy's attacks, empowering your allies' attacks, and getting the fuck out of dodge all with a single first level spell. This spell is definitely slept on as being weak due to lack of damage, but considering the effects it can have on the battlefield, it is definitely worth considering. Next up on our list, we have the second level spell, Gust of Wind. This spell creates a gust of wind. Who would have guessed? A 60-foot long, 10-foot wide gust of wind specifically, blowing in a single direction you choose for a whole minute. Creatures that start their turn in that line must make a strength saving throw or be pushed back 15 feet. The spell also hinders movement of creatures moving towards the source of the gust of wind. It costs 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot spent, effectively halving their movement speed while in the wind. And since this spell doesn't specifically state its difficult terrain, this can be stacked, thereby reducing their movement speed even further if you choose to do this with other spells, like Earth Tremor. I feel like this spell is slept on because it seems like such a small area to affect. The enemies could simply just walk through to the other side with minimal hindrance. However, reread the spell. 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot you move. If a creature walks through the 10-foot width, it will cost them 20 feet worth of their movement. This is still an incredibly high cost to move only 10 feet and will likely prevent them from making it into melee range with you. Not to mention, you can utilize your bonus action on your turn to redirect the direction of the gust of wind. So even if a creature moved through it easily, you can always redirect it on your turn and reforce that saving throw at the start of their next turn, thereby hindering their movement even further. While the spell doesn't deal damage, it's still incredibly slept on since you can effectively force any creature into the gust of wind on your turn regardless of where they move. And if you happen to be in a hallway that may be 10 feet wide, they are going to have a hell of a time getting to you. Anyways, I'm not sure if I explained it well enough, but Gust of Wind is actually a lot more powerful than a lot of people might think. Take a read of it for yourself, see if it's something that you might want to pick up for your next character. Moving on to the 4th spell for today, we have the 2nd level spell, Warding Wind. Man, there's a lot of wind spells today. Similar to Gust of Wind, Warding Wind creates a strong wind in a 10-foot radius around the caster that lasts for 10 minutes in its concentration. The spell stays centered on the caster and has a bunch of different effects. Things like deafening creatures, extinguishing flames, removing fog or gas clouds, creating difficult terrain, and even imposing disadvantage on any ranged attacks that pass through it. It effectively is like a windshield around the caster that protects them. Think Avatar: The Last Airbender, where Aang is in that floating ball of wind. It's kinda like that. Now, it doesn't deal damage, but considering the wide range of effects it has, it can still be incredibly powerful, especially when combined with other spells. Earth Tremor! And when used in tandem with the Warcaster feat for advantage on concentration checks, this is an incredibly powerful and protective spell. While not the most exciting, it is definitely worth looking at, especially if you like to get up close and personal with your enemies. And finally, the last spell we have on our list for today is the 6th level Blade Barrier. This spell creates a 100-foot long wall of razor-sharp blades, 20 feet high and 5 feet thick, or in a circle up to 60-foot radius. When a creature enters it for the first time or starts their turn there, they take 60-10 damage or half as much on a successful dex save. The wall also provides 3/4 cover. The reason I think this spell is underrated is because it's specifically a cleric spell for some unknown reason. Other 6th level spells available to clerics are things like Heal or Harm, either healing 70 hit points or dealing 14d6. But this spell is incredibly powerful not only for damage, but for versatility. The wall can be 100 feet long or a 60-foot diameter circle. That is a gigantic wall filled with swirling death blades. The wall lasts for 10 minutes and not only deals significant damage, but also provides a defensive boost. Seeing as how 3/4 cover equates to a +5 bonus to your AC. So any creature attempting to attack you through the wall is very unlikely to hit you, and if your enemies want to get closer, they're going to have to get through the blender. Blade Barrier is one of those unfortunate spell situations that falls into the category of great, but there are definitely other options that are generally more necessary, resulting in this really never getting picked up. But if you can afford to forego the heal, then give Blade Barrier a try. I can guarantee your enemies will hate it, and you will love it. Just like how much you loved the video. Speaking of which, you should probably subscribe because, you like the video so much and I'd really appreciate it. We post new videos every Monday and go live every Friday with our live D&D show Behold This Crit at 7:30 p.m. EST. Also, if you're interested in spell videos like this, I have made a bunch of them in the past that I've linked in the description below for you to check out if you're interested. And if you really want to support us, you can go check out our Patreon. We have a bunch of really cool rewards on there, like our homebrew items, some physical rewards that are coming out, as well as creating an NPC in our live game. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on Friday.